I talk a lot about niching because since the pandemic, most therapists are really feeling the burnout. And what we have discovered, and actually have known for a while, is that if you are working with the set of clients that you do your very best work with, then you are going to be a healthier clinician. Your clients are going to benefit more from you. And those who are not a good fit for you can be referred to someone who is working within their zone of genius, and that client is going to get the best treatment as well.
Welcome to the Colleague Down the Hall podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Collab Oasis Clinical Consultation Groups. Hi, I'm Janine Wolf, and I'm your colleague down the hall. I have a passion for helping fellow therapists get the clinical and collegial support we all need to do this work. And wow, it just keeps getting harder every day. I'm the founder and facilitator of the Collab Oasis Clinical Consultation Groups. I have been a social worker for almost 30 years, and I own a successful solo online private practice. More of us than ever are practicing in solo or online practices, and we all need colleagues to process cases with, commiserate with on those really hard days, and also to celebrate our successes with. In this podcast, I'll bring you insights about trends and changes in our field and sit down with amazing therapists who are doing amazing work. We'll discuss fictionalized cases, ways to practice sustainably, and of course, there will be plenty of laughing. I love laughing with friends. I'm so glad to have you as one of my colleagues down the hall.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to another episode of the Colleague Down the Hall podcast. I'm your host, Janine Wolf, and today I'm tackling a big decision that many therapists face. Should you start your own solo private practice, or is joining a group practice the way to go? Both paths offer unique benefits and challenges, and choosing between them can significantly impact your career satisfaction and personal life. So let's dive into the pros and cons of each, with examples and steps to help guide your decision-making process. I'm going to start with understanding solo private practice. Starting a solo private practice has the allure of independence. That was certainly one of the reasons I was interested in going into solo private practice. You have the freedom to set your own schedule, choose your clients, and create a therapy environment that reflects your personal and professional values. So let me go through some pros of having a solo private practice. One major advantage is clinical autonomy within the realms of your licensing and governing body, of course. You make all decisions regarding methods for progress notes and treatment plans, client selection, and therapeutic techniques. For example, if you specialized in a niche like EMDR or brain spotting, you can tailor your practice to serve these specific needs so you're working in your zone of genius. To this point, consider your clinical preferences and areas of specialization. Assess whether these can sustain a full practice and meet the market needs in your area. The next pro is flexibility with your schedule and your environment. In solo private practice, you set your own hours, which is ideal for therapists juggling personal responsibilities and pursuing work-life balance. You can design your office space to match the therapeutic atmosphere you want to create, enhancing both client experience and your own comfort. And over the years, as your needs change, it might be easier to change your hours or location if you are working for yourself. And if you want to really work hours that suit your way of life, I know therapists who work very early in the morning or very, very late at night. This fits their own preferences and needs, but it also accounts for their ideal clients, people that do shift work or other type of work that their hours are different than your typical 9 to 5. When considering this, I suggest you draft a potential schedule. Include time for client sessions, administrative work, and personal downtime to assure sustainability. Also consider if you prefer to work online, in person, or both. Consider how much of a commute you are willing to make. This way, you will have an idea of what you are looking for if you decide to pursue working for a group practice. The next pro is higher financial potential, and I think this is the reason a lot of people choose to go into solo private practice. but that doesn't mean it's the best fit for them. When you are working solo, you can decide that the platforms such as EHRs and other programs to manage your business are the ones that you like the best, that work best for you. You can decide if you want to do your own billing, which is pretty simple with most EHRs, and how much you spend on marketing, to name a couple of things. Without splitting fees, you keep all of your earnings, directly benefiting from your practice's growth. This is an area that I encourage you to consider carefully. If you have never run a business before, I recommend you contact your local small business association. They typically have lots of free resources and sometimes mentors to help you make a business plan. And don't forget, you will be setting aside funds for taxes, retirement, vacation and sick leave, and emergency savings. So all of that needs to be incorporated. The next pro is choosing your professional branding and marketing. I love the creativity involved in that, so that was a fun thing for me to do at the beginning of my practice. Marketing is the thing that will get your clients in the door. It is also the thing that many therapists like the least. You will need to create a brand around your unique approach, hours of operation, treatment modalities, and your therapeutic style. Here's a place where you might want some help. You can hire people to help create your professional website through a platform such as Fiverr, or build your own using a platform such as Squarespace. I started with just a homepage to begin getting my name out there and creating visibility. And then I was able to add pages as I went and get more specific in my copy. One of the things I also did was to begin blogging, which helped me with Google searches, increasing my visibility. You'll also want to create a logo and decide if you will use social media to create an online presence to attract your ideal client. Remember, at the beginning, you will likely have more time than money. I found many YouTube tutorials to learn to build many of the things myself, and then started hiring out as more money came in. Check out episode 62 for more about building an online presence. The last pro for solo private practice is direct client relationships. You are going to be most likely at the beginning a one-person show. That means you will handle all client interactions from the first inquiry to the conclusion of therapy, which is a great way to foster deeper connections with clients. But you need to be very careful here with making sure you have solid boundaries in place so you don't find yourself on call 24/7. You will need to include info about contact outside of sessions and choose an EHR with a secure client portal to make sure that you have some boundaries in place to protect your time. And then once money is coming in, you can hire a VA or other service to lighten your workload. Now let's move on to the cons of solo private practice. The first one for a lot of people is administrative load. As I said earlier, at least in the beginning, the administrative load can be overwhelming. You're in charge of everything. But again, at the beginning, you will likely have fewer clients, so you can build healthy habits such as setting aside specific blocks of time to manage your admin duties. Talk to colleagues or join one of the many Facebook groups for therapists to research tools and software that can streamline administrative tasks like EHR systems, online scheduling, and billing services. You'll also want to very carefully vet the billing service if you choose to use one, because I've heard many nightmare stories from therapists who lost thousands of dollars because they did not have a good billing service who was doing things correctly. The next con to solo private practice is isolation and lack of immediate support. Isolation is a huge downside of private practice. I was floored with how lonely I felt when I began my private practice, and the imposter syndrome, boy, that went through the roof for me at the beginning. I mean, really difficult. But there are ways to manage this. You can network with other local solo providers. When you are in solo practice, you will always need referral sources for family and friends of clients who are not appropriate for you to work with. See if you can meet up for coffee or join a local networking group. And the entire reason I created Collab Oasis clinical consultation groups was because I saw so many solo practitioners experience the loneliness and imposter syndrome I had faced, and I wanted to provide a safe, consistent place for them to get support, manage burnout, manage imposter syndrome, get case consultation, and get support with running a small business. And the last con for solo private practice is a biggie: uncertain income. In the field of therapy, we often see lulls on our caseload, and that means income can fluctuate. It can be very unnerving at the beginning, but there are many ways of managing this, but you have to plan ahead. This is something you can build into your business plan. You'll want to set aside money for this purpose. It will also help cover you for vacation, sick leave, and unexpected life events. You can also diversify your income by offering workshops or groups. You can do writing or online courses to stabilize your earnings, or consider teaching. Now I'm going to turn to the benefits and drawbacks of joining a group practice. On the flip side, joining a group practice offers built-in community and resources. You're a part of a team, which can provide both professional support and camaraderie. So the first pro is that you're going to have shared resources and reduced overhead. One significant advantage is both of those things, shared resources and reduced overhead, because both of those are going to impact the way you work as far as clinically as well as income-wise. Group practices often provide administrative support, and expenses for office space, utilities, and marketing are distributed among multiple therapists, reducing individual costs. If you are exploring this option, you'll want to consider visiting local group practices who are hiring to meet with the administrators and other therapists to get a feel for the environment and the support level provided. You'll also need to know if you will be a W-2 employee or a 1099 independent contractor. This is usually determined by laws around what constitutes each, and it will make a huge difference in income, benefits, potential non-compete clauses, etc. The next pro is a built-in referral network with a group practice. Being part of a group practice increases the likelihood of cross-referrals within the practice, ensuring potentially a more steady flow of clients, especially beneficial when you're starting out. It's good to look at the specialties within the prospective group practice to identify potential referrals and a balanced caseload. The next pro is lower financial risk. Most of the time in a group practice, you'll have steadier income through shared clients and less personal financial output for office expenses. But these can vary greatly. Find out what, how, and when you will get paid, if you can see the income you are generating, and what duties the practice will manage, such as marketing, billing, etc. Be sure to view the financial arrangements in a group practice to ensure it aligns with your income expectations and needs. This is an area you do not want to find any surprises in. The next pro is that you'll have a collaborative learning environment. You will likely have daily interactions with other therapists to provide ongoing learning and professional development. Consider what's important to you. Do you want a group with a lot of diversity, colleagues who work with similar clients or use a similar modality, and opportunities to staff cases, get exposed to aspects of professional growth and the underlying culture they offer? The environment is a really important aspect that often gets overlooked when someone is considering joining a group practice. The last pro is that you might find that you have an easier work-life balance. The group may offer flexible scheduling or the ability to cover for each other during absences. Be sure to clarify policies on work hours, vacation time, and emergency coverage to maximize work-life benefits. Let's move on to a few cons of being with a group practice. The first one is you'll have less autonomy over clinical decisions, potentially, which may feel like a drawback for you, depending on how experienced you are and the types of previous environments you've worked in. Group practices may have set policies on treatment approaches, client paperwork, and session length that you must adhere to. Be sure to review the practice's policies and treatment philosophies to ensure they align with your clinical approach, ethics, and values. The next con is the potential for internal conflicts. And again, this is something that can get easily overlooked. These can occur with management or colleagues over such things as shared workspace or differing therapeutic modalities and philosophies. And this, of course, is likely to impact your work satisfaction. Prior to joining a group, discuss conflict resolution procedures and check if the practice's culture encourages open communication and resolution. Find out how the clinical spaces are used, who has priority with shared spaces, and if you will have space for your documentation needs. The next con is that there may be possible limitations on client choice. The practice may dictate which clients you see based on insurance agreements or referral systems. Understand the client assignment process and ensure it doesn't significantly hinder your ability to work within your desired niche. And let me just say a word about that. I talk a lot about niching because since the pandemic, most therapists are really feeling the burnout. And what we have discovered, and actually have known for a while, is that if you are working with the set of clients that you do your very best work with, then you are going to be a healthier clinician. Your clients are going to benefit more from you, and those who are not a good fit for you can be referred to someone who is working within their zone of genius, and that client is going to get the best treatment as well. The next con is revenue splitting. This means you will get a split of the fees with the practice owner, which means earning less per client than in a solo practice. Calculate potential earnings in a group setting versus solo to assess the financial alignment with your goals. When calculating this, be sure to include any benefits or tax liabilities that will factor into the equation. You also need to make sure you know right up front what this split will be and that it is clearly explained to you, and it's definitely something you would want to have in writing as well. And the last con for working with a group practice is the potential for restrictive policies. Check in to see if there are any pre-established rules or procedures that might not align with your preferred way of working or align with your values. Be sure to thoroughly review the practice's policies on everything from client confidentiality to therapy modalities, everything from client confidentiality to therapy. Okay. Be sure to thoroughly review the practice's policies on everything from client confidentiality to therapy modalities to ensure compatibility. Every group practice should have written policies and procedures, and they should be willing to have you look at those before making a decision to join them. In summary, when deciding between starting a solo practice or joining a group, it's essential to consider the unique characteristics of each. Solo practices often highlight the independence to make decisions and the responsibility of managing the way your practice functions. Group practices can provide a built-in support system and admin support, which can ease the burden of day-to-day operations. Reflect on your personal and professional goals, perhaps by writing them down or discussing them with a mentor. As you navigate this decision, think about how each model aligns with your values, career aspirations, financial needs, and lifestyle needs, and seek advice from mentors or trusted colleagues to help clarify your path. And remember, this choice doesn't have to be permanent. Many solo practitioners started out with a group practice before deciding they wanted to go out on their own. Thank you for listening. If you're grappling with this decision or any other challenges in your private practice, remember you don't have to go it alone. A clinical consultation group will be a huge asset in your private practice journey, whether it's solo or with a group. For all of you hardworking therapists out there, please remember, our work is hard, but it doesn't have to be lonely.
Thank you so much for listening to the Colleague Down the Hall podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to colleaguedownthehall.com, where you'll be able to learn more about getting the clinical support you need and resources to help you work in a supported, sustainable way. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your therapy friends and colleagues. Subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.